Hello everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day, of course. Happy Sunday to you and your family. Taking a little look here at Terra Classic, seeing what's going on, and if this descending type of trend has discontinued. We're going to look for identifications to help see what is giving us confirmation if it's going to continue lower or if we might anticipate a pullback. Again, just looking at things abstractly here, of course. Technical analysis is all about not using emotion and using more so logic in the numbers and just the charts and what you see, right? Because again, if you're passionate about this coin, that's all well and good. I'm not discrediting it because it's going down. I'm simply just stating the obvious, and for the last 5 days, it's done exactly what I expected it to do, which is just continue to bleed out. And the main reason why that's probably happening is because it has a lot to do with Bitcoin dominance, as well as Terra Classic has aligned itself somewhat with Bitcoin. Obviously not exactly, because Bitcoin is technically doing better in the last 48 hours than Terra Classic, but on the same accord, it's absolutely lost its momentum, and with all this burn stuff happening as well, volume coming down, it's no wonder the price is going down, right? It's just kind of a standard situation that happens in cryptocurrency. So anyways, just want to kind of preface there and kind of let you know, all well and good. The sky is not falling. It should recover, but there's still likelihood of further downside. And just bear in mind too, also, if you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing, becoming a community member. I have a Trading Academy community and signal group where I send out signals for every single trade that I take. We took some massive profits here recently with Ethereum and XRP, as well as Bitcoin. Oh, BNB as well too. But if you have questions about that, feel free to message me. I provide those signals to all my community members. It's fully automated through Cornix, so really awesome experience. But even if you don't want to do that, feel free to become just a part of my public channel, or feel free to message me too, and greatly appreciate all of your support. That's fantastic as well. So what we want to do here with Terra Classic is take a quick look, of course, at the big picture. So the big picture is pretty straightforward. We went parabolic, of course, as per usual, right? It's very standard. And I had warned a lot of you, whomever was watching at the time, that it's important to get ready for a pullback with something like this. I mean, something like this cannot go to $1 probably ever, honestly. Just realistically, I think that the number is not there, the math is not there. Regardless of how much burning there is, it's still volume being accumulated. So there's a lot of things that will probably disallow that to ever happen. Regardless of that fact, when things go parabolic here, it almost always consolidates down to the halfway point or lower. We lost that halfway point quite some time ago. As you can see, we kind of skyrocketed to the downside. It's not a skyrocket, is it? It's more like a free fall. But we free fell, so to speak, from 41,000 to almost 31,000 in a day. Now, that was a terrible, unfortunate circumstance, but it happens, right? And that's just kind of the way that it goes. So for it to continue lower right now, it makes perfect sense, because we got a big old gap here based on volume, and the profile is basically telling us we have little to no volume at this range. So why are we not going to continue lower? It seems to make sense that it will, because once again, 16,000, 13,000, that range there, we have a support channel based on previous resistance levels, and that's more likely than anything to be hit here in the relative near future. It may not happen tomorrow. We might see it slow bleed sideways for a few days and then lower. But I would say the bottom that we want to look for is between 13 to 16,000, because that's just above that volume support, and it makes sense with the previous resistance levels. Okay, so again, just don't be surprised if the price continues to go lower. It hasn't given us any indication it wants to turn around just yet. We'll look at the smaller time frames, of course, to identify, but we lost 50 on the RSI. MACD is starting to gain its momentum to the downside, and there's just a lot of reasons to not take a trade to the long side for right now. Okay, again, that's just temporarily what we're looking at. Moving averages, here's one thing to kind of recognize that is a slight positive, and this could potentially hold the price action in place, is the 50-day simple moving average. It hasn't had a chance to prove itself yet because this is a newer coin. But in Bitcoin's history, for example, the daily 50 RSI is a strong support level, such as also the SMA for the 50 as well. So 50 is kind of a common denominator. It's a number you find in trading that seems to be a pretty good thing. We can see we lost 50 on the RSI. Obviously, that's disadvantageous. We're underneath that. But we're still above 50 on the simple moving average. Okay, so the 50-day simple moving average could very well work as a support level. That's really what I'm trying to summarize here, and the fact that that might actually hold the price action in place and continue to work as a support to slowly drive the price action higher, or potentially just see a bounce off that level. All right, so there's potential there as well. So it's not complete dire straits, but it's absolutely not looking great in the big picture, for lack of better terms. 4 hour, we can see with simple moving average prices moving itself down. We're now below the 200-day simple moving average. I covered this in yesterday's video, but generally speaking, that is not a good moving average to be underneath. That really just tells us that we're still, still bearish, of course. We can also see that we bounced off 30 on the RSI, and it's trying to recover, but as you can see, the price action is just slowly bleeding out while the RSI is slowly decreasing. Commonly, when you hit 30 on the RSI, it's supposed to recover and come up and try to retest 50. That's a very standard thing. But as we can see here, the RSI is coming up and the price is going down. That's typically a hidden bearish divergence, and it's not something you want to try to go long into. Okay, so that's not a good sign there. It doesn't mean it's going to explode to the upside. It really just implies that we're retesting this level, and the more often you retest the level, the more likely it is to break. So right here at the rough estimate of 22,500 is a pretty strong area that is getting tested. And when I say strong area, I just mean that it's obvious that the price hasn't been able to break below that just yet. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it won't, right? Because once again, continue to retest that level, the likelihood is greater for it to break down lower, okay? Oh, and also before I forget too, I want to let you know I did partner with ByBit here. Sorry, correction, BitGet. I actually steered away from ByBit and KuCoin as my primary, and this is now my primary. And the main reason why is because you can use leverage in the United States without a VPN. So be sure to check this out. Of course, it's a really awesome exchange, and I can tell you that it's fantastic in that sense, and you actually get a healthy amount of transfer bonus. So if you were to transfer funds over and use this exchange, you actually get a very large deposit based on just keeping your funds in the account for over, for 5 days or longer. If you have questions on that, feel free to message me. Comments below, of course, for the link. I definitely recommend using that link, of course, so you can qualify for that bonus. But simply put, fantastic exchange. I use them day in and day out. So here's the thing with the MACD I wanted to kind of touch on too. We can see the MACD is essentially working its way back up, right? So this is a positive in a sense because we can see that it's no longer gaining that momentum. So it's kind of running concurrent with that, what we see on the RSI here. So in that sense, we are seeing potential bounce off of 30 on the RSI, and we may also see a convergence here as well. Now, just because this one comes up doesn't mean the other won't come up with it, right? And if you don't have a convergence, it really doesn't matter. It's that shift in momentum that we're looking for. So right now, it's not giving us that indication that it's going to want to turn itself around. We still probably have another 24 to 48 hours before we might get that signal. So I always recommend being patient and waiting for confirmation because we do not have it just yet, all right? Now, I recognize that you want to jump in and you don't want to miss out and you keep adding to your position as it goes lower. There's nothing worse, though, than buying the dip and it keeps going lower, right? That's why you never try to chase the bottom. You wait for the price to actually recover and to start moving upwards. And what we're looking for now is higher lows. And that's how you see a trend reversal, honestly. When you start seeing higher lows, it's an important thing. So, for example, you look back here, that's technically a lower low that basically didn't give us confirmation that we have higher lows. So what you do is you normally have, let's just say you bought in right here, you would have wanted to wait for the next higher low to occur, okay? Obviously you don't want to buy in right there because that's just buying the dip and that's not a good call. But what I'm getting at is higher lows is a very strong indication of a trend reversal to the downside. And lower highs is effectively the inverse for a short if you're going to the upside. So if you see here, of course, this low is technically lower than the previous, right? So we're still printing lower lows. Lower highs as well to confirm that we're still bearish below this descending trend. So once again, there's literally no confirmation here, and a lot of folks will think that, hey, just because it's coming down here and it's consolidating at this area, it's going to turn it around. Not at all. The reason why this is a problem is because we have this key level support that was working as a strong support previously, the 24,000. Now it's working as a resistance. Do you see how the price action comes down and bounces and gets rejected off that, and we're still making lower highs? Those are not positive signs, okay? So there's literally nothing here that we can see on the short term and the midterm. And concurrently also the macro, minus those small little outliers that are telling us it's going to turn around. Not saying you should short right now, but I'm not saying you should. I'm definitely saying you should not go long, all right? And if you're going to buy the dip, just continue to expect it to go lower. Why not wait a little bit longer and be patient for a lower price? It just makes a lot more sense. So again, please recognize that. Keep this in mind too. Terra Classic could absolutely recover tomorrow, and a lot of it is contingent on Bitcoin doing well. In other words, Bitcoin's been fairly on the struggle bus here recently, and in that regard, it's causing Terra Classic to not really remain all that strong because again, they're sort of they're sort of aligned together, if you will, right? That being said, all in all, Terra Classic is still going to continue lower. That is the anticipation. I think that we should all expect that. So to keep it simple, the price is coming down lower. That's just kind of the bottom line, and I think you should expect it to happen. There's a potential bounce, of course, if Bitcoin has a good day tomorrow, but I think the likelihood there is pretty low. I'm expecting a red week from Bitcoin this week. So again, we'll see what happens. Obviously, let me know what your thoughts are. If you have interest in becoming a community member, cryptocash.tech is a site, link in the description below. Again, don't forget to register through BitGet. They're a fantastic exchange. Highly recommend them. It's pretty much my main go-to right now. And that bonus transfer deposit's really nice too. Check that out in your own time. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for your time. We'll see you next one.